folks. This is Jason Van Tatena with Oath Keepers Media here with Michele Fiore, who is part of the COWS organization, one of the representatives there in Las Vegas, outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. And thank you for joining us here on Oath Keepers Media. We got some really important stuff to talk about today. We've had a lot of things happening, and you've just been right there in the middle of the mix. First off, I want to start by saying thank you for doing everything you're doing. I honestly believe we've saved lives in what we've done with getting people out of the refuge and the part that COWS has played in that. And just there has been a silver lining to all of this, and that's that. So I truly believe lives are saved. So thanks for all you're doing. I definitely appreciate it. I know other people do as well.
Thank you, Jason. There's so many of us, I have to tell you, including yourself and including the Oath Keepers, including everyone out there, that played a key role in this. The information, and as we get information out and as we make sure that none of our cowboys fall through the cracks, is very important. I will tell you, as we are interviewing and we're putting this out there on social media, that's truly what saved those four. Is if those four were not live streaming, I believe in my heart that they would have been dead.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to our first topic, and that is we finally have some good news coming out of this situation with the attorneys. We now have some pretty high name attorneys coming in. Tell us a little bit about the background story there, how we got connected with these guys, and what they're going to be doing to help our guys out.
So a couple of weeks ago, because it takes a lot of coordinating, especially to get signatures from people that are detained behind bars. So a couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call from the president of one of our unions here that is a national organization. And I thought to myself, I wonder what this is about, you know? And so I met with him, and I'm very grateful that they are looking to step up to help our political captives, because they truly understand that they protest and understand when union teams protest. I mean, they'll stop traffic. They'll, it's kind of like a tough protest. So when they saw our cowboys camping in the middle of nowhere, not, arguing or yelling at people, and all of a sudden 40 of our cowboys are in jail, they said, we better step this up, because obviously the federal government is looking to shut down our First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech. And there is a disparaging disadvantage there. There is a ton of civil rights that have been violated with all of the cowboys being detained. And the unions, the labor unions, are stepping up. So our first meeting was basically, I'm chored with now going and getting all of our cowboys that are rounded up, signing a specific interest card for the organization. And then once we get them the interest card, now out of 40 cowboys, I've gotten about 20 signatures so far. Because I had to fly to Portland. We've got people in Idaho. We've got people in Nevada. We have, and I'm talking about our detainees. So we have people everywhere. And so I'm trying to reach out to other people in other states that can go and do a paper pass. That's what it's called, a paper pass visit with our detainees, to have them sign it. And then, so right now, most of them have public defenders, and we don't want them letting any of their public defenders go. However, as we get into and closer to we need true criminal attorneys that can defend our Constitution and understand what's happening. So we have a few great people coming on board. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Larry Klayman. He's coming on board with Cliven. He did a whole bunch of work in the past with Judicial Watch. He has some famous cases out there. And Larry wasn't here on Thursday when they didn't release Cliven, because he was burying his dad in Florida. So there's a lot of people coming online. I met with a California attorney. I won't say his name yet because he's not on board, on last Thursday before I went to Portland last Friday, to give him the scenario of the case. And without a shadow of doubt, he was he sees that the federal government definitely does not act in a lawful manner, and he can definitely see the wrongdoings here.
Well, that's good news. How can people, if they know these guys, if they've got contact with them and can do that paper pass, how can they get a hold of you and get plugged into that?
Well, they can call me directly at my office, which is 702-210-8460. And again, it's 702-210-8460. They can call me, and then we can coordinate, because it's very difficult to constantly fly around, but it's not too difficult to get it done. So that's what I'll say. We have to get it done, and we have to get it done fast.
Absolutely. Well, and to be clear, that's going to be free representation for them, right? They're not going to have to pay for that.
So Tuesday, I go back and I meet with their board. I show them the cards that we have, and then from there, I've sent them some of the indictments that I was able to pull up, and then from there, they're looking at, I don't want to say unionizing the Cowboys, but definitely pulling together to make sure that our voices as Americans are not shut down.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on. The cows have been in the press quite a bit lately, and not all of it is portraying things quite accurately. I was wondering if you could kind of talk about some of the bad presses that's been out there, and really let's shine a light of truth on it. Let's kind of let people know, because you guys have been instrumental in brokering peaceful resolution. You've really put your money where your mouth is, and we're there, boots on the ground. Even when you weren't there, you were plugged in and a part of it. Everyone may not know the behind-the-scenes workings, but I certainly do, and you guys have been there since day one. Let's talk a little bit about this demonization that's been happening. Of course, here at Oath Keepers, we're very used to that happening. We know that it's because you're doing some good work is really why they're targeting you. So tell us a little bit about that.
So anytime anyone, Americans, and especially elected officials that actually have the capacity to write laws that will actually have consequences to unlawful law enforcement, we're going to get attacked. And that's basically, COWS, which is the Coalition of Western States, looks to represent the citizens across the nation. We're actually enrolling some Eastern legislators as well. And we basically fight tyranny. And that's when you have to, that's when, the rubber meets the road, shall we say, is because they don't want any of us pushing back. And there's not enough elected officials that will turn around and say, enough is enough. Because most of the time, people worry about their next election and not our next generation. That's our biggest problem with some of these electeds. And that's what I'm going to say to your group, to everyone that watches this, is you really have to get in touch with your representatives, from your sheriff to your state reps to your federal reps, and see if they will stand for you, or if they're just an elected official just to rub elbows and be in the elected official club, because those are the folks you want to work hard, you want to get your boots on the ground, and you want to get them out of office.
Okay, well, we last but not least, we're getting news of a new round of indictments coming down over this weekend, and I'm going to work hard to get this out tonight so that we have this information getting out there over the weekend when it's happening. Tell us a little bit about this new round of indictments that you found out about, how you found out about it, and who it's going to include possibly.
Well, basically, they're looking at anyone that was in Bunkerville in 2014 with a firearm. So the Nevada prosecutor that was in Oregon last week told Oregon attorney that today, Friday, they would be Friday, March 18th, through the upcoming Tuesday, they will be doing another mass, using that term mass, M-A-S-S, amount of arrests with anyone that was in Bunkerville with a firearm in 2014. And non-coincidentally, I got a call from a gentleman that was in Bunkerville in 2014, and the FBI stalked him for, I guess, a few weeks, stalked his house. His 12-year-old daughter was home, and then pulled up right behind him. And he was polite, and he invited them in. He was cautious, but I advise everyone that's listening to this, if the FBI or the police want to question you, absolutely not without your attorney. You know, a lot of us want to be friendly and we want to help because we don't have an issue with law enforcement, but their intention is to entrap, and their intention is not pure. So I would highly suggest no one speak with the FBI or the police without your attorney, because they do not have good intentions at the moment.
Absolutely, and that unfortunately, that's a large group of people. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people there during that big standoff.
There were like 2,000 American patriots there at one time.
And that, to me, seems like a Rubicon that they're crossing. It's definitely going to change the game. I know there are a lot of people that have talked about what's going to happen if they were to cross this line in the sand, and I sure pray that they decide not to do this, because it's definitely going to change the game up.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
No, Jason, I just want to thank you, and I just want to make sure that no American allows themselves to be beat down, suppressed, or fear our government. Because the moment we fear our government and stop preparing to defend ourselves is the moment of weakness, and that's the moment of conquer. So I'm just going to say to our fellow Americans out there is, do not fear your government. That's not the way this is supposed to work. We're law-abiding citizens, and we need to stand our ground.
Amen. Well, again, thank you for all the work you're doing, and please keep us up to date whenever you need to get some information out. We'll be happy to help do that.
Thank you so much, Jason.
All right.